In this short video about commercial IP, we're going to consider what is the fundamental basis of IP and what is it actually protecting. Now, normally you would imagine intellectual property to protect property, a thing, an identifiable physical thing. And that's what the law is trying to protect. And it's often things that we get emotionally and intellectually attached to. But actually, IP arises because of something that's happened before there's a thing. IP protects the work that has gone into something. So if we take an example of copyright protection arises to an author or a creator who has put some effort into arranging the words in that order, or to marking the page and drawing the lines in a particular way. So the result, so the words on the page or the drawing on the page, is said to be a copyright work, and the law will protect that output. But the reason it protects it is because there's been some work on the input. Equally, in patents, the output is a design and a certificate that says that this design or this description of a mechanism or a process is protected by law as a patent. And if you follow that in any way, or if your product incorporates that idea, then you are infringing the patent, and the patent owner can either charge you money or prevent you from using it. But the reason the patent owner has been given that right in the first place is not because of the thing, it's because the law is rewarding the work that they have done. And they've done three things in the case of patent law. They've produced something new, so it's an introduction of something that nobody has done before, and they've done it in a creative way. And they've also done something that can be created in practice. It's a practical thing. So IP law is always there to reward some intellectual effort or endeavor. So it's there to reward work. And it uses, unfortunately, language of property. So when we hear property, we think of physical things, and we think of owning something through physical possession of it. And so we can talk about artists having their work stolen. A record or a music publisher will talk about illegal downloads as theft. And creators can talk about their software, for example, the ideas that they've incorporated in their software being introduced or produced somewhere else, and they feel emotionally that that has been stolen. Their property has in some way been taken from them, and they want to pull it back. And there's a couple of problems that arise with that. The first is that it's usually not possible to put things back in Pandora's box in the world of IP. Once an idea or a concept or a design has been copied, that exists in people's minds. It doesn't have to exist physically. And in fact, IP doesn't protect physical things. It protects the ideas and the work that has gone into creating something, whether it ends up physical or not. So it misleads us to think that we can put something back, and we actually have to seek different remedies and control our intellectual property in the first place, knowing that it is very intangible and can flood out. So we have to use more metaphysical or intellectual barriers and controls rather than just physical ones. And the second thing is, property in a physical sense is usually possessed by a single person and is not divisible. If you have a statue, it is a single lump of concrete or marble or piece of wood. But the intellectual property rights in a thing can be many, many layers deep. And if you think of a song, for example, the intellectual property exists in the words that are in the music, also in the arrangement of that particular version. There's also rights in the performance of it. There are separate rights in who's then recorded that performance. And the distribution and the control of all of these different rights can be split between myriad different people. And yet to the user, it's one song and it's coherent and it exists as a single thing. And that may also feel true for the producer or the creator. So the idea of intellectual property as property is a bit of a convoluted and confusing structure. And it's much better to think of intellectual property like copyright, etc., is there to protect the work that has gone in to produce something rather than the thing itself.